Welcome back, friends. I'm Yvonne Davis, author, astrologer, and life transformation coach. And this is my channel where I do general astrology and political astrology. So if you're new to my channel, please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, click like on this video, share with friends and family and on social media, and please leave your comments below. All right, so I need to tell you just a little bit about my upcoming astrology workshop. It's 6 weeks, and there will be 30-minute one-on-one sessions each week and a 30-minute group session each week. So that's 6 weeks. So, and by itself, it's only 120. I mean, that's basically, anywhere from 3 to 6 hours of time one-on-one with me for only $120. So that's pretty outrageous. But I know that so many of you are dying to get your questions answered, and I can't afford to do the special like I did for New Year's Eve, because I just get so overwhelmed with demand for readings at that rate that I mean, I literally get overwhelmed to the point of exhaustion, and I can't maintain that kind of schedule. So so for the time being, I can't do a reduction in personal readings, other than if you buy a workshop, then you can get that rate, the $99 rate that I did for New Year's Eve. So just letting you know, in case you're wanting a reading or you're wanting more FaceTime with me, that's a way to do it at a very affordable rate. And if you're one of those people who've experienced a serious financial setback because of this pandemic, please email me at admin@yvonnedavis.com if you want to take the workshop but need to be on a sliding scale. I'm willing to work with people on that. Alrighty, so let's get on to this video. I've got so much to talk about. It's just, oh my God. There's just so much to do. Okay, let's go. Let's get going on this. So this video is titled Trump's Not in Charge, and this is a karmic lesson in responsibility. So the first thing I want to say is responsibility is the ability to respond, and that's what empowers a person. So Pluto is all about empowerment, and that's what this video is going to be about. It's about Pluto. Taking responsibility is the ability to respond, and that is power. And because Trump is fundamentally immature and incapable of taking responsibility, he is unable to respond effectively, okay? Well, we're going to come back to this because I have more to say about this, but first I want to show you something else, but I got to pause the video real quick and I'll be right back. Okay, so there was a Morning Joe video that I was watching, and I'll put the link below so you guys can find this if you haven't seen it already. But apparently there is this advertisement where it shows Trump speaking, and you can hear the quotes in his actual voice, and it shows the curve growing exponentially of people who've contracted the virus and died. And so he says, no, I don't take responsibility at all. Okay, that's very important here, because this comes directly to the issue that I'm talking about. So I want to go back and look at that again, okay? Responsibility is the ability to respond. He says, no, I don't take responsibility at all. He does not have an ability to respond, but that's what empowers people. So if he can't respond, if he has no ability to respond, then he has no power, okay? And this is Pluto, okay? So we're going to take a look at Pluto. So because Trump is fundamentally immature and incapable of taking responsibility, he is unable to respond effectively. The karmic lesson here is very important, and we're going to talk about that too, because the karmic lesson here with Pluto is about not pointing fingers and not blaming others for their failure to respond. It's about looking at ourselves and asking, do I point fingers and blame others, or do I get to work taking responsibility for my own life? This is the karmic lesson, folks, because Big Daddy Trump is unable to take responsibility. He's unable to respond, and ultimately powerless and impotent. So who's in charge here? Who is in charge? Who's in charge? Let's talk about that, and let's take a look at Pluto. Pluto, I think, is actually the one in charge here. Pluto and Neptune and these other cosmic energies, divine cosmic energies. So I'm looking at Pluto retrograde for April 25th, 2020, because Pluto is the god of power and the god of death. He rules the underworld. The reason he rules the underworld, and the reason he rules death is because death, that is the underworld. Another name for Pluto is Hades, and he is the god of the underworld. He's the god of death, and you have to go down there in order to have your initiation. Initiation is a word that we use in alchemy and the occult. And so I'm going to, I think I need to find the definition to help you guys understand why this is so unbelievably important. Just a moment. Alrighty, I'm back, and I will show you, give you a little itty bitty lesson on alchemical initiation or occult initiation. So this is, again, Donald Trump saying, no, I don't take responsibility at all. And I will put that link below so you guys can take a look at that if you haven't seen it already. And it's actually his own voice. You can hear it. That's an exact quote. Amazing. Absolutely phenomenal. All right. So let's look at this alchemical initiation. And so if you're interested in understanding what Pluto's alchemical initiation is, this is I'm saying Pluto because that's what we're in right now. Humanity is in Pluto's alchemical initiation, and that's who's in charge right now. Pluto is in charge. Pluto is the god of death. He's demanding, absolutely demanding, that we take responsibility and empower ourselves, okay? Not pointing fingers. You know, there's no big daddy to help us. There just isn't. Whether you're happy about that or not, whether you think it's right or wrong, whether you think it should be that way or not, that's the fact. And Pluto doesn't care what you think should be true. Pluto says you need to take responsibility now because there's no big daddy to take responsibility. And that's how we empower ourselves. It's also might be interesting for you to know that Hermeticism is associated with alchemy. The whole doctrine of alchemy came originally from Hermes Trismegistus, and so it's also called the Hermetic science. But what's interesting to think about is the word hermetic. It's spiritual. You know, you have to go into solitude and retreat, and that's what Neptune is calling us to do. And it's also the word for hermetically sealing. When you hermetically seal something, you separate it and you create a boundary of protection. So to keep the so-called evil out, okay? So that's why we need to go into seclusion right now. That's Neptune. So Neptune is also in charge. So let's go ahead and start looking at the charts now. Okay, so here's Pluto. This is Pluto retrograde, which will happen on April 25th. I think I just showed you this, but I forgot that there was a reason why I knew that this was going to be important. I actually knew it because I figured that out astrologically. But then this morning, I saw another article. So I want to show you that article real quick because that's what prompted me to make this video. I was reading this article in The Atlantic, and it was talking about the infection and it spread, and it said a study released by a team at Imperial College London concluded that if the pandemic is left unchecked, those beds will be full by late April. So the US has fewer hospital beds per capita than Italy, and Italy is the hardest hit right now. And we have fewer hospital beds per capita than Italy. A study released by a team at Imperial College London concluded that if the pandemic, I think I'm going to have to do another video that talks about PAN, is left unchecked, those beds will all be full by late April. Okay? Late April. So now let's go back and look at the charts. All righty. There's Pluto turning retrograde. Now, as I said in another video, and I'll keep repeating this over and over and over again, because I know of a lot of you, you're not experts in astrology, and this is all new to you. And so you may not understand this, but when an outer planet goes retrograde or direct, it stations, meaning it freezes in place. From the perspective of Earth, it freezes in place. It's not moving. From the perspective of Earth, we can look up the sky. The planet is not moving. It's stationary. It just freezes in place. But what happens when it does that is the power gets more and more and more intense. And Pluto is going to station in the sky, frozen in place for 3 weeks. And then it hits its retrograde motion on April 25th, but it's still frozen in place. It's just building up energy, building and building and building. And then it starts to move forward. And so those 3 weeks while it's stationary retrograde, frozen in place, it is building up an intense amount of energy. And this is Pluto, the god of the underworld. And so you need to understand, if you have the attitude, when will this end? I know you want to know that because this is scary stuff. But if you focus on when is it going to end, instead of focusing on why is this happening, what are the spiritual lessons, what is the karmic curriculum, if you don't focus on that, you miss the point. And then you miss a lifetime opportunity. With Pluto, Jupiter, and Pallas Athena conjunct, we will never see this again in our lifetime. It's not about whether or not we'll ever see a pandemic again. There are other alignments that can bring that about. And it's possible we will see another pandemic 18 years from now when the nodes come around to this placement again. Or something different, because 19 years ago, what we saw was 9/11. And then the anthrax threat and the recession that came from all of these experiences. And then we went to war against Afghanistan and Iraq. So it doesn't look identical every time, but the thing is that you don't know what's coming exactly. You just know it's something really bad. And you can look back and see what happened before and get clues. So the Spanish flu pandemic happened when the nodes were in the position over Sag and Gemini, which they're going to be again in early May. We're moving into it, folks. Right now it's happening. And it could possibly happen again in 18 years from now. So the energy here that I'm talking about, Pluto, Jupiter, Pallas Athena, is about being the warrior goddess, Pallas Athena, taking her lead. You know, even if you're a man, it doesn't mean you can't embody the energy of Pallas Athena. She's the goddess of arts, crafts, skills, talents, and strategies. She's ready to take power, okay? If you take power and incarnate the energy of the warrior goddess Pallas Athena, you can create amazing things. You can gain the power and wealth that Pluto and Jupiter are there to give you. But this is a lifetime, once in a lifetime opportunity. If you miss this opportunity this year, it will never come around again. So if you're cowering in your house, now, yes, we do have to shelter in place. That's Neptune. I've been saying that over and over and over again in my videos. Neptune is the one in charge. Pluto is the one in charge. They are saying you have to shelter in place. You have to go into solitude and retreat and contemplation and initiation in order to empower yourself. That is the purpose of this experience that we're having. It isn't for the purpose of tormenting us. It's for the purpose of initiating us into power, true power and true wealth. And my feeling about this is so intense. I mean, to the point where it makes me angry, because what I get angry about is people who will not pay attention to this message. And in 18 years from now, they'll be crying in their soup and they don't realize that they missed the opportunity. So I hope that you who are listening to me are not going to miss this opportunity. It's not about crying in your soup. It's about taking the power right now, because Trump has no power. I want to go back to what I was saying before about Trump being powerless. And I'll show you the charts too. So I just want to make very clear what this is about. This is about you and me taking responsibility. So we have an ability to respond right now in the midst of this crisis. We need to take responsibility. We need to empower ourselves and stop looking at him. He is a completely powerless, impotent child. You know, he's nothing. He's a pipsqueak bully in a sandbox. There is no need to point fingers or blame him for being impotent. Just ignore him. Don't even, I mean, really, seriously. He's nothing. He's not worth your time. He's not worth your effort. Just let him go. He'll hang himself basically in time. I mean, he's already hung himself basically. He did that a long time ago. But instead of people wondering, when is he going to get his? I don't know. He is playing an important role in all of this. That's the most important thing to understand, is this is not random. This has all been orchestrated by higher powers to bring him into that position. And you know why? Because the universe is trying to teach us something. Divine intelligence is trying to teach us something, which is that we don't need him. We don't need him. We don't need that big daddy power structure. What we need is us on the ground taking responsibility for ourselves and for our loved ones and for our community, and learning how to grow food and doing all the things we need to do, because that is also the lesson of Uranus. So all of these energies and divine intelligence and karmic curriculum are trying to teach us these lessons, and I will probably get more and more intense in my videos, because if I don't do what I'm called to do, see, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm getting to work. I'm doing what I'm called to do. I'm not waiting for the government to solve this problem for me. I'm taking responsibility in any way that I can, and I'm doing what I'm called to do in any way that I can. And my job, my calling, my vocation is to help you guys see the karmic curriculum so that you don't miss this opportunity, okay? And teach it to your children as well, and your grandchildren and your great-great-grandchildren. Stop looking at that pipsqueak. That's why the pipsqueak is there, because the universe is trying to teach us we don't need the pipsqueaks of the world. We need ourselves. That's what Pluto is teaching us. That's what Jupiter is teaching us. That's what Pallas Athena is teaching us. And we're not done with this transformation yet, okay? It's going to go on for a while. That's what Saturn is teaching us. Notice the vertex right there? And it's moving into conjunction with the South Node in the third house. Third house is communication, and it starts with the communicable disease. Sadly, but true, because that's the only way that people can learn. They won't learn if things are easy. They have to be hit over the head in order to learn. So are you learning your lessons from this? Because Donald Trump certainly is not. And do you want to be like Donald Trump? I certainly hope not. Do you want to be, powerless and impotent because you don't take responsibility? And I know a lot of you might get angry by this and say, hey, I do take responsibility. I'm not talking about those of you who are taking responsibility. I'm talking about those people who only want Trump to fix this for them, and only want the government to fix this for them. I'm saying we can't rely on that. And Trump clearly is not in charge, not only because it's clear that these divine forces are in charge, but also it's clear that, the governors and the mayors are the ones who are in charge right now. Trump is absolutely impotent. Not only does he not have anything effective to offer our country, but he rambles incoherently, and then other people have to come in and fix and correct everything, all the misinformation that he put out there. It's ridiculous. All right, so Mars is also in conjunction with Pallas Athena, activating Pallas Athena in our country. That's us, okay? Neptune is also in charge, insisting that we shelter in place, that we go into that hermetic silence, into sanctuary, into spiritual retreat, and contemplate this initiation, okay? We are all in an initiation right now. And if you waste this opportunity, for spiritual initiation into power, true power, and true wealth, you will have missed a lifetime opportunity. And I'm going to keep pounding this message at people because I care about you guys. I don't want you to miss this opportunity. Now, the other thing we have to consider is Mercury is conjunct Black Moon Lilith over the nation's Chiron. And again, Mercury is the ruler of the third house of communication. And communicable diseases, we are communicating with each other. We're giving this message to each other. And the people who die, I know it's really painful for a lot of people, but as an astrologer, I absolutely 100% believe that we sign up for everything before we incarnate into this earthly plane. And so while it may be devastating to lose someone that you love, if you understand that they signed up for this, then you can give them their power too. They chose their path in this lifetime when they incarnated. That's incredible, an incredible sacrifice that they're making. And we can value that by letting them, have their choice. Even if a child is taken, which, believe me, I have a child too, and I do not want that to happen. But I believe that she had the power prior to incarnation to choose the life that she wanted to live and the lessons she wanted to learn, and the sacrifices she wanted to make. Now, the other thing to consider here is the sun is conjunct Uranus at the time of the Pluto station retrograde. And this is important because Uranus is another one of these divine energies that are bringing the lessons. We knew Uranus was going to change things when it moved into Taurus. And we astrologers, readers, psychics have been talking about this for a long time. We kept saying this over and over and over again. When Uranus moves into Taurus, it is going to bring change. And the change it's going to bring has to do with things of the body, material existence, money, wealth, finances, our entire financial institutions, our currency, our economy, the way we do business, everything is going to change. And our food supply is going to change too. We're already seeing that in the disruptions to our food supply right now. Because while it may not be that the food isn't there, it was there yesterday, it's going to be there tomorrow, But the problem is that the demand is so intense, and it's a realization that the system we live in is incredibly, incredibly fragile. So I said in earlier videos, and I'm going to say it again, this is not going to be over soon. It's just starting to heat up. And so before the shit hits the fan, when you need to go to the grocery store, be sure that you are starting to stock up, okay? You don't need to do panic buying, but just a little bit each time. Rice, beans, pasta, anything that can last on the shelf in storage for a long time, okay? Because you may need it. And I'm not kidding about this. Don't worry about the toilet paper. There are other ways to deal with that. Food, you can't live without. I don't know about the water supply. I personally am not getting a sense. My intuition isn't telling me that that's going to be a problem. But I'm not going to tell you what you need to protect yourself, okay? I'm just saying now's the time. Slowly start building up those supplies, because we're nowhere near how bad this is going to get, okay? The shit has not yet hit the fan, and you've seen what's happened already, and the shit has not even hit the fan. So you need to start preparing. And the Sun conjunct Uranus at the time of the Pluto stationary retrograde is also contributing to this issue around the disruptions in these areas. The financial markets, institutions, currency, the economy, the food supply, agriculture, everything to do with our physical and material well-being. This is in the 6th house of work and body. And Taurus is an earth sign. So it has everything to do with our physical and material well-being and what we value. Okay. And this is being disrupted. We're seeing the weaknesses, how fragile our system is. This is going to tell us we need to go back to the land. It really is. It's going to show us that we need local supply chains. And so this summer, you may even want to consider growing a garden. I highly recommend it. All right. The other thing we see here, Venus opposite the ascendant, she is going to turn retrograde on May 13th. Right now, and for quite a while, she is moving through the sky in conjunction with Vesta, the goddess protector of the home. So staying at home, sheltering in place as Neptune is requiring that we do, the goddess protector of the home, Vesta, in conjunction with Venus, is going to do everything in her power to keep you safe, okay? The North Node over Venus is also in the 8th house, is also impacting our economy, because 8th house rules joint resources and joint finances, and Venus is the ruler of Taurus. So all of these things are extremely important, and Neptune is squaring Mars. And as I've said many, many times, the Neptune conjunction to Mars and the Neptune square to Mars is the infection, because Mars rules inflammation, infection, and fever, and Neptune is illness and confinement and hospitals. So the square here to Mars in the 7th house of the people is the illness. The illness is on our land now. This is the 4th house, our fatherland, squaring Mars in the 7th house of the people, okay? So let's go and look at this chart on Donald Trump's chart now and see what we can learn from that. All righty. Okay, so what we see happening here is Pluto on his vertex, that's fate, in the 6th house of work and body, opposite Saturn and Venus in his 12th house of things hidden. And this is also the 12th house of confinement. This is the house ruled by Neptune. And so the god of death is death and power, Hades, the ruler of the underworld, and initiation is also triggering an initiation for Donald Trump. Unfortunately, he never pays attention to his lessons, so he'll miss this one big time. That's why I'm saying, please don't be like Donald Trump. You know, please, please, please take advantage of this energy to learn the lessons that the cosmos is trying to bring to us. Okay, I'm only saying this because I love you guys and I care about you and I want you to know what this is all about. All right, so as you can see, Saturn in his 7th house of others is conjunct the vertex, that's fate. This is crunch time for Donald Trump in the 7th house of others. That's him losing support. His support is contracting, his power is contracting, he's losing his grip on power. People are taking it away from him. They're stepping away from him. They're saying, this guy is completely ineffectual. He is an absolute child. He is completely impotent. He can't do anything. He's just making things worse. And we're stepping away from him. We're disassociating from him, taking our support away from him, and we're taking back the power. And Mars is conflict in his 7th house of others. So he's got his support is contracting and being taken away, with Saturn conjunct the vertex in his 7th house of others, and Mars is creating conflict in his 7th house of others because he knows he's losing power. He knows. All right, so Neptune is squaring his natal full moon eclipse, as I said in another video called Will Trump Survive This? He will contract the illness. So if you haven't seen that video, go check it out. If I can, I'll put a link above. You know, I'm really trying to include these links because this is a jigsaw puzzle. You got to see all the different pieces, and you got to see them multiple times so you can form this image in your mind and understand what this is all about and what's happening. This is the finger of God pointing at Donald Trump. And Pluto is the god that is ruling. Pluto is the god that's in charge right now. And Neptune is the god that's in charge right now. And Uranus is the god that's in charge right now. These are the people, if you want to think of them that way. The divine intelligent energies. These are the ones in charge now. And so the other interesting thing will be to see what else is happening, because now that Pluto is stationary retrograde at 25 degrees, it's going to move back, and it will make another opposition to his Saturn. So let's go look at that chart right now and see what we can learn about that. Oh, there was one more thing I wanted to say about this, is that as Uranus moves, and right now, again, in this chart, it's conjunct the sun, but as it moves in this direction across his 10th house, the public house, it's squaring his Pluto, and it will move into an exact square to his Pluto. Pluto is power. So again, Uranus is squaring Pluto, taking his power away. Pluto over here, Pluto over here, Neptune over here, Uranus up here. These are the forces that are in power. These are the forces that are in charge. And Uranus is taking his power away, as Uranus in his 10th house, the public sphere, squares Pluto, his own sense of power in his 1st house of self. It is taking his power away, okay? Because these are the guys in charge here. Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus. Okay, so let's go and look at what happens when Chiron turns retrograde. First, I think I want to go back to that that document that I created, because I have got to make sure you guys understand why this is happening and what we're supposed to learn from it. So the karmic lesson here is not about pointing fingers and blaming others for their failure to respond, i.e. Trump or anyone else, it doesn't matter. It's about looking at ourselves and asking, do I point fingers and blame others, or do I get to work taking responsibility for my own life? This is the difference between an internal locus of control and an external locus of control. Right now, the human species has an external locus of control. Children have an external locus of control. The purpose of this is to evolve the species so that we mature as a species and have the ability to respond. Adults take responsibility. That's Saturn, okay? Saturn is another one of these divine forces that are trying to teach us these lessons. To grow up, to take responsibility, to empower ourselves. When we take responsibility, we have the ability to respond, and that is how we empower ourselves, not by waiting for Big Daddy to solve the problem, because he's not going to be able to solve it. This is about the human species growing up. So Big Daddy Trump is unable to take responsibility. He's unable to respond, and ultimately he is powerless and impotent because he's not in charge here, not at all. These divine intelligent forces are in charge. That's Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus. They are bringing about the transformation of the human species. And as citizens of the United States, we live in one of the wealthiest, most powerful countries in the world, and we need to step up to the plate. Every single one of us who are citizens of the United States need to step up to the plate, because our Big Daddy is a loser, an impotent, powerless loser. He can't do it for us. And whether you like that or not, doesn't matter. The universe has set this in motion for the purpose of helping us to wake up to that reality that Big Daddy is an impotent loser and cannot take care of us, whether we like it or not. It's time for us to grow up and take responsibility and empower ourselves. That is the lesson for the entire human species. And even more importantly, it's the lesson for every United States citizen, because we have put ourselves up there as a leader of the world. We, as United States citizens, we have put ourselves in the position of being a leader in the world. So let's step up to the plate and be leaders. Okay? So as responsible, empowered people, we don't need Big Daddy Trump anyway. We don't need him anymore. We never did. So the karmic lesson is this: empower yourself by taking responsibility instead of giving your power away to Big Daddy Trump. He's nothing. He's a pipsqueak bully in a sandbox. No need to point fingers and blame him for being impotent. Just ignore him and take back your power now. Okay? That's what these divine forces are trying to teach us, not just as part of the human species, because this lesson is global. It's about the human consciousness. Growing up, maturing, moving into an internal locus of control and taking power, every single one of us, taking responsibility and taking power, and stop looking to Big Daddy to save us, okay? Take back your power now. That is the lesson. You can see I'm very passionate about this. I can laugh too, because I can laugh at myself, you know, my own intensity, my own passion around this. This is what I was called to do on this planet. And I'm so glad that I listened throughout the course of my life and I followed the calling. You're receiving the call to adventure now. Accept that calling. You know what it is. That's what Venus is trying to teach us now that she is in her home sign of Taurus. She is trying to teach you to live according to your heart, to listen to your heart, not to your head, not to your ego, not to your fear, to your heart, and love and follow your heart. Okay? Doesn't matter. The fancy houses don't matter. The fancy cars don't matter. The fancy clothes don't matter. The fancy jewelry doesn't matter. Impressing people doesn't matter. You know, what matters is that you listen to the call of your heart and you follow that call. You are being called to adventure. This is the hero's journey right now. You are being called to be a hero right now. And that's pretty darn exciting. Okay, so let's go back and look at the next chart that I want to show you, which has to do with Chiron retrograde. So just to take a quick look at the chart by itself, you can see the mystic triangle, okay? This is absolutely phenomenal. So this is Chiron retrograde, which will happen on July 11th. And there's that gorgeous mystic triangle there with Neptune to the Jupiter, Pluto conjunction. There's more happening there, and I'll make sure you see what it is when I put it on the charts of the US and Donald Trump. The moon is moving into conjunction with Mars. That's intense. But it's also making a trine to Venus. There you go. There's the heart again. Okay? So let's go ahead and pull up this chart and lay it on top of the chart for the United States, and then we'll look at it for Donald Trump and see what it has to say. So let's see here. We've got US Sibley chart. That's the July 4th. And by the way, I did a video where I was showing you the fact that the July 4th eclipse is happening at the birthday of this nation, which makes it more intense because that means that the full moon eclipse is actually embedded in our nation's solar return chart. All right, so, and I want to make very clear, this is not punishment. The planets do not punish. Karma is not about punishment. Karma is curriculum, okay? And I'm going to be repeating that over and over and over again in my videos. Karma is curriculum. As an astrologer, my job is to read the planets, these cosmic energies, to read the patterns, because I can read the language, okay? And the language is the curriculum, okay? So I'm reading the curriculum for you. You're all in school here on planet Earth, okay? And I had the calling to read the curriculum to you, and that's what I'm doing. So you're sitting in your school right now on planet Earth, and I am reading the curriculum for you so that you know what you're supposed to be learning here, okay? All right, so another important thing to understand here with Saturn back in the 29th degree is that when we recently had those severe stock market crashes, which were March 9th, March 12th, and March 16th. Those were the most severe drops in the stock market. And that related to Saturn in the 29th degree of Capricorn. So when Saturn goes back into the 29th degree of Capricorn, we may see these stock market crashes again, okay? So, you know, I'm not going to, it's not my place to tell you how to protect your finances, okay? I don't invest in the stock market for multiple reasons, but one of them is because I can't stand the volatility. I don't have the personality for it. So, you know, so if you have the personality and can write it out, then you do what you feel is right for you. It's not my place to tell you how to protect your financial assets. I'm just saying that we may see crashes again when Saturn moves into the 29th degree. So that's my job as an astrologer, to tell you what's coming. I am telling you what's coming, okay? So it's up to you to take responsibility and decide how you protect your financial assets, okay? All right, so we've still got, what else we got here? Oh yeah, we've got the moon moving into conjunction with Mars, moving into conjunction with Chiron, okay? And at the same time that Chiron is stationed retrograde, okay? Chiron is an asteroid, but it's like, it functions like an outer planet, like Pluto and the other outer planets. Like I said, the outer planets are Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. These are the planets of generational transformation, their personal transformation and their generational transformation. Chiron also fits into that because it takes Chiron 50 years to go around the zodiac. So those of you who are around that age or older have had a Chiron return. So it functions like an outer planet. Saturn takes 29 to 30 years to go around the zodiac, and Uranus takes 84 years. So basically the way it works is there's Saturn, that's of the outer planets. Saturn is the fastest, and then Chiron, and then Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. So these are the personal transformation planets and the generational transformation planets, okay? That's what we're in right now. We're in a personal transformation and we're in a generational transformation. And if you are willing to step up to the plate and be an A+ student, you will benefit. Once we get through this, which we will, you will rise to the top. You will be the cream of the crop. You will be the A+ student, the valedictorian, the hero. That's up to you if that's what you want to do. So the moon conjunct Mars conjunct Chiron at the time of the Chiron return is serious. This is serious stuff, folks. This is the public body. The moon is the public body. Mars and water, okay? So that includes bodily fluids, but it also includes the water of on the planet Earth. Mars is fire, and as I've said multiple times, Mars also rules inflammation, infection, and fever. So we've got a fever in the body public and a fever in the body Earth, okay? And that's the woundedness. And Chiron is an opportunity to re-wound ourselves or to heal ourselves. So the question is, are we going to heal the body Earth, or are we going to continue to wound the body Earth? That is the question, because the fire of Mars conjunct the moon, conjunct Chiron, this is going to be one hell of a summer, folks, and it's not going to be over soon. It's going to go all the way in to November and beyond. And I showed you that in the last video. If you didn't see it, go back and watch it. We've got some serious issues coming this summer related not just to the pandemic, but also to global climate change and how we have raped this planet. We have raped our mother goddess Earth. And so I don't like to use the language of punishment, and this isn't punishment. It is simply giving us the choice. Are we going to continue to do the things that wound our mother Earth? That's her right there. She's our body. She literally is our body. We're the brain and consciousness of this body. So we're going to continue to abuse our body? Or are we going to take this as an opportunity for healing and changing our behavior, every single one of us? Again, stop looking to the leaders to solve the problems because they can't do it. They have failed us, but we failed ourselves and we failed our Mother Earth. And this is an opportunity. Are we going to continue to wound our Mother Earth, which is our body? Or are we going to use this as an opportunity for healing and changing our behavior and taking responsibility right now, every single one of us? And Black Moon Lilith is right there, conjunct Chiron. That is an exact conjunction right there. Black Moon Lilith on Chiron. We got some hard lessons to learn, folks. Yep. So, you know, I bet you, I wouldn't be surprised if after this video goes live, my subscriptions go way down, because most people out there don't want to be responsible. They want somebody else to do it for them, and they want somebody to tell them it's all going to be okay, it's going to be over soon. And so they will unsubscribe from my channel, and they'll go find somebody else who will tell them what they want to hear. And like children at bedtime, they will listen to that lullaby and they will go to sleep, and they will not transcend and transform. They will not show up for the karmic curriculum. They will not show up for their initiation, and they will not show up for the power and wealth that Pluto has to offer them. Every one of you who are showing up for it, you are going to get this incredible prize when this is all over, of power and wealth. You personally. All right, so at the same time of the Chiron retrograde, Venus is conjunct Uranus. And this Venus is gonna do some harsh things this summer when she goes retrograde. So this is the first, actually, I take that back. She's already done her hard lessons. Now in July, she's gone direct. But as I mentioned, she's going to cross over and conjoin the Uranus in the 7th house 3 times. So she's just made her 3rd conjunction to Uranus. So she's finishing up her work, but she will also make a final conjunction to Mars. So, and then she will conjoin the South Node. And this is the 7th house of people, the public, the citizens of this nation. That's us, folks. And also at the time of the Chiron retrograde, the sun is conjunct the vertex, that's fate, but also conjunct Vesta, the goddess protector of the home. And Mercury is conjunct, well, still retrograde, moving into conjunction with first Jupiter and then Venus. The retrograde has to do with the Saturn retrograde in the financial markets, because Mercury is in the 8th house of joint finances and joint resources for our country. Okay, so this is a setback, financial and economic setback. So you need to be prepared for that. Okay. All right. So now let's go look at what it is doing on Donald Trump's chart. Donald Trump is on the rack of doom again. All the energy is in his 6th house of work and body and his 12th house. The 12th house is one of the most difficult houses. The 12th and 8th house are 2 of the most difficult, well, actually, wow. The 6th, the 8th, and the 12th house are the 3 most difficult houses in the zodiac. And he is right there on the rack of doom. For those of you who are new to my channel, the rack of doom is when you see the 2 blue lines of the quincunx, which is karmic readjustment. It's you reap what you sow. If you sow good seeds, you reap the benefit. If you don't, then you reap the opposite. And then 2 oppositions across it, like the flayed man in Game of Thrones. He's on the rack of doom. And so he's got all this energy. The stock market is crashing again. Pluto is right over his vertex, which is fate, in his 6th house of work and body, opposite Saturn. And that's the other interesting thing, is that the moment that Chiron goes retrograde, Pluto makes an exact opposition to his Saturn. And if you recall, if you were watching my video back when the the impeachment was announced. The impeachment trial began on the exact day that Saturn made an exact opposition to his natal Saturn at 23 degrees, 49 minutes of Cancer. This is a big deal, folks. And of course, at the same time, we've got this opposition of the Sun, conjunct the vertex, which is fate. It's right there in opposition to Pluto. And Uranus is making that exact square to his natal Pluto. And that's what I told you earlier in this video, that Uranus is going to take his power away from him. Uranus in his 10th house, the public house, the most public house, that's his career, that's his fame, that's his most public house, where he's seen most publicly, squaring Pluto in his first house of self. Uranus in his 10th house of the public realm, his career, his fame, seen publicly, is taking his power away. And Neptune is squaring his natal full moon eclipse. And here we see Moon, Mars, and Chiron in conjunction, squaring his natal Mercury, with Mercury retrograde on top of his natal Mercury. And remember, again, if you want to go back and look at those videos, I made tons of videos where I talked about it over and over and over again. And I said, this point in the chart, right over his Mercury square at 8 degrees, squaring his Neptune at 5 degrees, is one of the most important positions in his entire chart. This is where karma is landing more than any place else. And that's partly because he is a Gemini and Mercury rules Gemini. And this Moon, Mars, Chiron conjunction is opposite his natal Neptune, squaring his Mercury. And as I said, he is going, in my other video, Will Trump Survive This? He is going to get sick. So I think that's it for today. Okay, first of all, I hope that you guys enjoyed my sermon. You can see I'm extremely passionate about this. This is what I came to planet Earth to do. Like I said, sometimes I feel like Cassandra right now. But you know, the curse of Cassandra was that people didn't listen to her. So I hope you guys are listening to me and taking this stuff really, really, really seriously. So, all right. So just to ground us back in everyday reality, this is the work I do. This is how I support myself. And this is the community I'm building on this channel. So if you're new, please subscribe. If you haven't rung the bell for notifications, please do that now. Please click like on this video. Please share this with friends and family so that you can help them too, so they don't miss this lifetime opportunity and so that they can understand what this is all about. It's about an initiation into power. This is about the evolution of the consciousness of the human species. This is about the people of the United States stepping up and being the leaders that we were meant to be, being the heroes that we were meant to be. And so please do share this with your friends and family and on social media. And please leave comments. I hope that you like the message. I hope you don't mind my preachiness. It's only because I care about you guys. I really do. And again, if you want more FaceTime with me, if you want to get more questions answered, please sign up for the 6-week astrology workshop. That is probably the best deal you could possibly get, because that's going to include a half an hour one-on-one session every 6 weeks. So that's 3 hours plus a half an hour group session every week. That's another 3 hours. That's a total of 6 hours of FaceTime with me for only $120. And if you want my discounted rate on 1 hour readings, you can buy them in as a package and you can get that discounted rate. I wish I could do more. If I can, I will. But as I said, the demand, when I lower my rate that much, my demand becomes so intense. It's more than a human being can handle. And I learned that last time when I did the January offering. So I'm not sure I can do that again this year. But if you've been hard hit, if you're a patron, if you're a former client, if you're one of my students, you will qualify for discounts. And if you've been one of those who've been hard hit by the economic contraction and, are suffering and need help, you want to take a workshop, but you are struggling financially, but you really want to take the workshop, please contact me at admin@yvonnedavis.com. And I am open to a sliding scale, and so we can negotiate that. So anyone who is a patron, a former client, a student of mine, or in financial need, you can qualify for discounts and a sliding scale if you need it. So please contact me at admin@yvonnedavis.com. We'll negotiate that. And also, if you've already ordered a reading and haven't received your email receipt in order to set up an appointment, please contact me at admin@yvonnedavis.com so we can get your appointment set. All right, so that's the business, and we can go back into this incredible adventure, and I will see you again next time. Love you all. Bye-bye.